Dickie Dredd, New Age Travellers, A History, 1960 to 1990. Chapter 3, The Convoy Starts to Form. Introduction. Peace Convoy didn't appear out of nowhere, roaring down the A303 in a trail of smoke and slogans. It grew slowly, from back lanes and broken engines, from cracked cups on wood burners, from bus doorsteps and squat kitchens. It came from people who already lived on the edge. It was a movement built by drift, not design. Before the term New Age Traveller hardened into a headline, there were already hundreds of people living mobile, off-grid lives, some since the 1960s. They weren't all the same. Some were leftover hippies, some were anarcho-punks looking for escape routes, some were ex-military, ex-cons, Romani connected, Irish Traveller linked, or just young people who clocked the game early and chosen not to play. They weren't waiting for mission, they were already on the move. Travellers started living in buses during the 1960s and 1970s as part of a broader countercultural movement that rejected mainstream values, materialism and conformity. Buses became popular for multiple reasons, some listed here: freedom and mobility, affordability, see below, ability to live communally, self-expression, the ability to move freely from festival to festival, and the influence of iconic groups, for example the Merry Pranksters. Bus became a cultural symbol of the hippie movement and inspired a wave of mobile living. In short, buses represented an affordable, flexible and expressive way to live a life aligned with hippie ideals of freedom, community and rebellion against the status quo. The lifestyle was part poverty, part politics, part psychedelic art project. People bought old buses, mostly ex-municipal, ex-school, Bedford TKs, Leylands, Bristols, for a few £100 or even less. They ripped out the seats, built in plywood bunks, lined the roofs with joss sticks, smoke and flags even. Kitchens were welded into place with little more than hope and chain smoking. Everything leaked. Everyone shared tools. Each bus had its own personality. Painted wild, covered in vines, stars, anarchist A's, sunbursts or just filth. Names like Cosmic Nomad, the Jambutty Express, Arc Maggot Wagon, Snail. Dogs hung out the doors, kids slept in hammocks. Engines blew up and were fixed by torchlight. You learned quickly, or you didn't last. Fuel was begged, borrowed or siphoned. Food was shared or skipped. Money came from seasonal work, fruit picking, market trading, busking, cash in hand scrap jobs. Many folk made art to sell at the festivals or planned what drugs they'd punt. Few signed on, despite the later media connotations. Winter was spent in squats, woodlands or abandoned industrial land. Summer meant the road to Stonehenge, Deeply Vale, Elveston Castle, Megan Fair, Teignmouth, anywhere there was music, fire and open land. But why so many buses? In the 1970s and early 1980s, old buses and trucks were cheap, sometimes absurdly so. You could pick up a decommissioned double-decker or Bedford TK lorry for less than a second-hand car. Some were sold at auction by councils and companies for under a £1, just to get them off the lot. Britain's vehicle fleets were modernising fast. Local authorities, bus companies and the military were ditching older diesel workhorses in favour of newer, more efficient models. To most, they were scrap. But to travellers, they were opportunity on wheels. Big enough to live in, tough enough for back roads, and built to last, as long as you could get them started. They weren't glamorous, they stunk of oil and brake dust, but they were freedom, waiting to be painted, patched and driven into a different kind of life. Note that Dave Fawcett's book and website has a mammoth collection of photographs of old traveller vehicles, and he often attempted to place where they are now, or at least the time of publication. See the bibliography. Among the many hazards of a life on wheels, bus fires were one of the most feared and tragically common. Travellers living in converted coaches, ex-army trucks and hand-built wagons faced a daily balancing act between functionality, freedom and fire risk. Single spark could take out an entire home and everything in it. The causes were varied but often depressingly familiar. Old wiring, hastily spliced with chocolate blocks or twisted by hand, ran alongside bedding, wood panelling and flammable insulation, DIY wood stoves installed without flue clearances or proper shielding could overheat or kick out embers into curtains or rugs. Leaky gas bottles, poor ventilation and dodgy regulators were another culprit, sometimes combined with makeshift cookers or heaters. Add in fuel spills, oil-soaked engine bays and forgotten candles. It's no surprise that even the seasoned crews had horror stories. Sometimes it happened while driving, other times it was in the middle of the night, a quiet rustle turning into a nightmare as someone screamed "Fire!" and the scramble began to save dogs, kids, tap. For many, a bus fire didn't just mean loss of shelter, it meant the destruction of memories, tools, clothes, instruments and identity. Some got lucky and rebuilt, others left the road for good. But ask any long-term traveller and they'll have a tale of a rig that went up fast, of smoke that gave no warning, or of a life turned to ash in a single terrifying blaze.